Good evening and salutations, my Beyond the Gates fans. We'll start off with Derek and Ashley. Because let me tell you something about Ashley. Ashley is the definition of a time waster, right? He proposes to her. She says no. And she's like, I don't mean not ever. I just mean not now. Ashley, how long have y'all been dating? We'll say maybe 2 years, 3 years? How long do you need to decide if you want to commit to him or not? Now, listen, I'm not about rushing people's decisions. I'm really not. I'm not about rushing people. But you had over 2 years to decide if you wanted to be with him or not. And so, when he's like, well, I don't know if you want, he came out, he was like, I think that you're playing me. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And basically, he's like, you don't want to break out with me. You don't want to be alone. You're just waiting until somebody else comes along that is better. And nobody should have to sit there and be strung along. And that's how he feels. And what she does is pretty, I don't want to say monstrous, but it's pretty foul. She tries to turn it around on him and invalidate his feelings about being hurt and feeling like he's wasted 2 years of his life with her by basically being like, you're giving me an ultimatum, and just the way that she goes about, hold on. She starts saying little things like, oh, well, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. Are you serious? But it felt right to sit there and be with him for 2 years. But it doesn't feel right to take the next step. And the fact of the matter is, it's like, you wasted his time. And all the other stuff that she was doing before that. It's been 2 years and you're not ready to move in yet. What are you doing? Honestly, tell you the truth, that should have been his first clue to sit there and just kind of take a step back from her. This isn't like they've been dating for 6 months. He's like, all right, well, let's move in together. It's been 2 goddamn years. And she couldn't commit to moving in with him. So part of me just kind of looks at that in what world do you think that she was ready to sit there and commit to being with you? And just the simple fact that she tries to turn it around and then play victim tells you everything that you need to know about her. So he paid for the check and he dipped out. And she's sitting there crying and I'm like, girl, you did this shit to yourself. Ain't nobody should feel sorry for your ass. You are the definition of a time waster. You turn good men into assholes. Now we have the Joey and Vanessa scene. There's one part in that scene where she's asking for more. Because she's like, listen, I'll do it. You didn't have to go through all the shenanigans of trying to bleed my husband dry and get us to a point where we have to do it. You could have just sat there and asked. I don't know if she's playing him or not, but there's one point where she's asking for money for not just herself, but also for him. And she's like, I'm unfaithful. I'm not disloyal. I don't know, that sounds the same to me. That literally sounds the same to me. I don't want to sit there and say it sounds worse, but it sounds the same to me. So when she said that, it was like, yeah, she tries to negotiate more money out of him. And, afterwards they wound up knocking boots. At this point, it's just like, Whatever. The thing is that those are probably the most promising parts of this episode. Those is probably the most prominent part of this episode. You know, watching Naomi and Andre sit there and talk about Derek and Ashley's relationship just seemed kind of stupid. It is one point where he finds out that Naomi's like, oh, well, you know, Derek is going to sit there and propose. And he put on the most fakest smile and the most fakest tone that he can sit there and muster up. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, it's great, and I'm so happy for them. Now, of course, he goes over to check how she's doing, and you know, he placates her like usual. Because I mean, that honestly, to tell you the truth, that's what women like her generally want. They don't want honesty. They'll say they want honesty, but they don't want honesty. It almost seemed like they want kind of a yes man, and Derek has just been way too good to her, and I guess he kind of fit that bill as far as being the yes man until he finally was like, nah, you're a time waster, and I'm done. But you know, he comes over there, he does the whole shoulder to cry on. You know where this is going. She is just the worst type of person. And then you have Chelsea. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm not even going to spend too much time on this chick. I'm really not. You've been watching my videos for a while. You know how I feel about her. I generally just have a huge disdain for this this version of a woman. This vapid cringe lord that tries to act so cool, and like every word that just comes out of her mouth, you're kind of just like, is she done talking? Because it just sounds horrible. I don't want to be too negative. I don't, and this is why I want to move on. But I mean, she has her date with Madison, and I mean, they talk about coming out and their experiences. They hook up, and to be honest, I really don't give two shits about it. I don't. I think she's, honestly, to tell you the truth, the worst part of this show. She might be the worst part of the show. At least with Leslie. Leslie's annoying, but she's cartoonish, and I can deal with her on some level. Like, she's bad, but she might. I think I just like those two characters for different reasons, so they might actually be on the same level. Then we get to the Smitty and Marcel scene, and long story short, Marcel got this interview to do before his retirement, and you know, the captain's like, hey, listen, we need all the good PR we can get. So Smitty comes over, and you know, he asks him some pretty much kind of puffy questions and stuff like that until he gets to what he really wants to talk about. There's one point where he's talking about the boat. He's like, oh, you know, I really love the boat and everything like that. And it's a picture of Joey in the shot. He's like, oh, it's crazy. So he starts questioning about that, and you can tell that Marcel is getting uncomfortable. And then he's like, oh, you know, let's switch the subject. I was just so mind about. Then he talks about a case that he worked on involving one of Joey's men. And talked about how, like, the evidence and the circumstances was kind of weird and it was kind of off. And again, you can tell that Marcel is getting kind of, you know, a little jumpy, you know, a little defensive, I would sit there and say. They also know about Martin for a hot minute. But the minute he starts questioning him about the, you know, his case with Joey and the guy who is still apparently on Joey's payroll, he shuts down the interview. He's like, all right, well, you know, I gotta go. And, you know, Smitty's like, don't have an hour. It's only a couple more questions. He's like, no, I'm good. I gotta do the calls. And he just, you know, he heads out. And then he makes this comment about, you know, what they say about people, about, you know, throwing stones and living in a glass house. Smitty's like, what's that supposed to mean? He's like, well, you know, you're the investigator, you figure it out. Now, you're probably alluding to something that happened with Martin. You know, Martin is sitting there talking to Vernon. Well, before Martin was sitting there questioning the busboy because he was like, "Show us the color of your money" or something. He's like, "What does that mean?" And the guy, you know, he kind of gaslights him. He's like, "Well, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything. I was asking about the check or whatever." And you know, I wrote in, you know, because I was sitting there thinking about that all the times that Martin has practically gaslit Smitty, and I'm like, ah, finally know what that feels like, don't you, bro? But then he lets him go. Vernon starts talking, and he's like, I could have swore that he was like, what was going on with you and the busboy? He's like, I could have swore the busboy said something that sounded very familiar. They get to talking, and he's like, you know, I feel like I'm losing it a little bit. Then Vernon's like, oh, I guess maybe you should talk to someone. Just, you know, not tell him everything. I'm like, I don't think that's how therapy works. Like he said, you can't just go in the office and say, well, I got a problem, but don't say what the problem is, right? So they're talking for a little bit, and there's a point where he's like, he's looking at the waiter, he's like, why do I feel like it was the waiter that actually said that to me? The guy, apparently Vernon's like, no, that guy is somewhere else, I paid him money or whatever, I'm keeping tabs on him, so that guy who said that to you, I know where he's at. So it's not the busboy. So he kind of drops it a little bit, and as they're about to leave, Martin is walking away, looking at the busboy, and then he comes back around. He's like, "Yo, why'd you say that for? What do you know?" And, you know, he kind of hems him up against the wall because he's like, "I felt like he said that," you know. So yeah, even if it was the guy, even if it was the guy that actually said that, um, maybe you know what I'm saying, like maybe that guy, maybe that guy's not working by himself. Maybe the waiter was just working with that guy and said that I imagine. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty much about it. Can't think of anything else that wound up happening. If I missed anything, write in the comment section. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll be sitting there talking about all the shows, as you know, all 5 of them. And I'll see you in the next video.